Hi, everybody. We're going to get the webinar started here in just a minute or two. We have a couple more people coming into the waiting room, and then we'll get going. Cool. I think we've got some critical mass here. Welcome to today's webinar, Getting Your Change Orders Closed Faster. This is a practical guide for specialty contractors. I'm Chris Wood. I'm with the marketing team here at ClearStory. And joining me today is going to be Lauren Howe and Liam Floyd, who are on the call with us today as well. So quick agenda. We're going to do some introductions, just tell you a little bit about ourselves and like why change orders are a big deal to us personally and also at ClearStory. Talk a little bit about how there's really a lot more change orders than ever on commercial construction projects. And so why alignment and approval is critical, and even more so than it used to be 3, 4, 5 years ago. We are going to give you these 5 keys to faster COR approvals. Some of them may seem quite elementary, and that is by design. We're going to show you how taking these really easy to implement steps in how you present your CORs to your GC really is going to ladder up to speed with closure approvals and obviously to get you guys paid faster. And that's going to be like a compounding effect that like doesn't just help on this project, but it's going to help you go even faster on the next project. We're going to take a quick look at like what optimizing change order workflows looks like. Got a Q&A for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the Q&A module down at the bottom of the screen on the menu bar, or feel free to throw them into chat. We'll probably get to most of them at the end, but if there's anything that we see that we're going to jump right in, we might do that during the call as well. We're going to show you a quick demo of ClearStory at the end too, like not a full-on demo, but just to show you like how some of these hacks and tips that you can use right now, regardless of whatever technology you're on today. Like, by the way, like ClearStory can really automate all of those for you. So let's talk to today's speakers. Liam Floyd is account executive here at ClearStory. Lauren Howe is one of our customer success managers here at ClearStory. Liam, why don't you go first? Just tell us about your background. Like, why do change orders matter to you? How do you encounter it in your day-to-day working with contractors and ClearStory customers?
Yeah, Chris, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. So for the past just about 5, 6 years, I've been in the construction software space. Before that, my main food groups were I was out on a construction site with a GC self-perform team, or I was bartending. But then I got into the software space, mainly around construction. And then for the past 2 years, why change orders are personal to me is I've been working with my friends in the New England, Northeast area, specialty contractors specifically, helping them out with their change order requests, getting those approved faster.
Awesome. And Lauren, I know you've got a deep background as a specialty contractor. So talk to us a little bit just about your history in dealing with change orders and like why change order optimization and helping other specialty contractors to get their change orders closed faster and get that cash flow going is really important to you.
Yep, that is very true, Chris. I have a deeply personal relationship with change orders. I was in the elevator industry for 17 years, the last 10 of which I worked as a new construction project manager in and around the greater Boston area. And so I was dealing with paper tickets, tags, multiple spreadsheets for change orders on a daily basis all the time throughout projects that just sort of stacked and would just go on over time. And in my last job, we were actually ClearStory customers using ClearStory to manage our change orders. So I got to see the difference from before using ClearStory and after, and how much time that gave me back in my day. So much so that when ClearStory was hiring, I wanted to come over to this side of the field and help other project managers out there get a little time back and make the whole what can be an ugly change order management process a lot cleaner and easier to manage.
Yeah, we got you, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
Um, so before we dive into the keys, we do want to kind of set the stage for everybody, and this is not going to come as a huge surprise to most of the people on this call, but like you look at your projects and there's more change orders than ever. So whether it's because of a BIM or collaborative project delivery, design build, there's just a lot more opportunities for the GC and the owner to make changes during the construction cycle. Liam, why don't you walk us through some of the data here that Clear Story collected last year, just in terms of like frequency of change orders and like how that volume is going up, and not just from the specialty contractor's point of view, but from the GC's point of view as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, just across the board, no matter what the reason is, we see a ever increasing amount of change orders. I think main reason behind that is we're starting projects with a lot less information. So we're moving super quickly. A lot of jobs are kicking off. And then once we actually get into the weeds of it, there's a lot of unforeseen changes that weren't accounted for. And I mean, from the specialty contractor side up to the general contractor to the owner, everybody is trying to cover these costs and they're getting cut up into different change orders, which makes having your process down pat that much more important because these change orders are getting segmented and cut up and sent to different funds to be released and paid for all more so and all more frequently.
Yeah. And this idea that change orders can account for up to 30% of an annual subcontractor's revenue. So we kind of see that at the project level too, that it kind of mirrors just 10 to 30% of project value. Lauren, looking back on your days at Kone and Otis, like, does that jive with you? Like how much that of that huge chunk of revenue is actually in play at the project level and then also at an annual level as it relates to change orders?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely something over the course of the last 10 years, I just saw that number sort of increase over that time period. Like Liam was saying, you've got a lot of buildings being built faster, getting released, going, boots to the ground sooner than ever these days. So everything's trying to get moving as fast as possible. And in that, you're going to end up naturally having more change orders as there's design changes. Things are moving more quickly than the design can necessarily keep up. So it's really important to keep that organized so that you're not missing out on any of that like 30% range of the overall revenue of your project.
Yeah. And kind of obvious, but like more change orders than ever, more revenue at stake. So alignment and approval are like super, super critical. Liam, talk to us about that. And like, what are some of the challenges to alignment and approval when we're going through not only dealing with more change orders, but like even going through more rounds of revision back and forth, trying to use some of these manual workflows to align with our GCs?
Yeah, I mean, I think having your ducks in a row is so important. I was literally today, I was just down on the South Shore working with a painting contractor and like made a great point of like towards a job, it's about to close out, like funds are running out. There's a ton of change orders. We're trying to figure out who's going to pay for these change orders. There's not as much money in the pot anymore. And if like you're trying to fight for those last dollars, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like not having the backup and the historical log behind it can really affect you. And I mean, it can affect you all the way to you take a hit on that job to I've seen even the best subcontractors out there. It can make you go belly up. Like if you have 2 or 3 months worth of cash flow that doesn't come in, you don't have them, the funds to pay for your material and pay for your guys, the job starts slowing down real quick.
Yeah. Lauren, did you see a lot of revisions when you were a subcontractor and talk to us just about this idea of like almost two-thirds of us are starting work even before the COR is approved because like we need to move things forward and like how nervous does that make you to like put that chunk of cash out there to keep things moving, knowing that like you have this approval process in the back end that might take months to see that cash back in the bank again?
Oh yeah, so much of the work that I was dealing with was all price and proceed. They would say, give us a proposal for the price, but start doing the work now. And then it was up to the project manager on the back end to go through that revision process, get everything organized, sorted out, put everything together to put a pricing package in front of the GC so that they could package that in front of the owner ultimately to get it approved and get that cash flow moving. But a lot of the times basically as the specialty contractor or the sub, you're kind of front loading and you're bankrolling that work to get done and hoping that you have, like Liam said, all your ducks in a row so that when your customer, the GC, goes to present it to the owner, that you have an ease of being able to get that approved so you can keep that cash flow coming in. That's it's a real concern when especially when you're getting towards the end of a job if nobody's on the same page and you have this big pile of question marks hanging around instead of pile of money.
Right. And like finally you do get the CO and you're like, oh God, like
Yeah. Whew.
that was close.
Yeah. Nobody likes
And,
that.
and to
Um,
add to that, Chris, just not, as
yeah.
a little teaser of what we're about to talk about, but like Lauren said you package it together, they bring it to the owner. They might be coming back to you or the revision, not because they're trying to slow it down, but because they need to be able to present this to a customer to help you to get paid. And you're having your ability to just like be on top of all those change orders and being able to shuffle them around and hey, we got to present these to the owners. We're going to apply this to an allowance and you're going to have to eat this one is just so important to be able to do quickly.
Sure. And so we're going to jump into the keys here. Just a quick overview. And like I said, like they kind of start elementary and they will get kind of a little bit bigger in terms of like how they ladder back up to like really getting a smooth, organized, transparent COR that you can align on quickly with your GC. So we're going to talk about subject lines. Believe it or not, like most of us are still communicating our CORs with GCs through email. Same for file names. Like you dive into that COR package. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happens on the GC side after they receive all of this information to you, hopefully organized. Obviously, how to keep your COR log clean and up to date for your GC so you're not going through that monthly fire drill of trying to package everything together. And then within that, like how do you break down and back up all of your pricing, all of your signed T&M tickets, with photos, with receipts, and how that gets organized to really present a clear picture to your GC customer. And then again, this idea that speed is key. Like it's a compounding effect. Like once you put these kind of smart practices into work, you're really going to see how like a streamlined workflow helps with your future CORs and approvals. But Liam, why don't you walk us through like some of the change order bottlenecks? Like, why is it so hard to get some of these CORs approved right now faster?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of this slide, Chris, is like Lauren and I go on site, we're talking to a customer. The first four things we're going to look at these four avenues, this is where we see change orders being held up. Some of this we have more control over than others. The five tips we're going to walk through today, like today's session, is sort of twofold. We want to give you some practical tips that you can apply to today with or without any software. But then also, these are the four areas that ClearStory looks to solve, and we'll show you at the very end how ClearStory supercharges this entire workflow so that the five practical tips we're about to give, yes, you can implement those today, but how ClearStory has made it by design to almost make it dummy proof, where it all just happens in a row in a domino effect, and how we can affect these four areas to just improve them across the board for both the subcontractor and the general contractor and all the way up to the owner.
Yeah, so regardless, whatever system you use, we want to get you guys out of that end of project confrontation where there's a stack of T&M tickets that were surprised. There's surprise change orders that lead to you guys negotiating, 50 cents on the dollar. You've got revenue loss there. Obviously, there's a ton of wasted time in trying to package all that stuff up manually and, strain relationships. Like nobody wants to like negotiate. I mean, there are the few that really love negotiating, but nobody wants to go back and forth with the GC at the end of the job while contingencies and allowance are down to zero and like try and fight for that extra dollar. So key number one, subject lines matter, and this is like your first front with the GC. Like the first time they even are going to see your COR is when it pops up in their email. So Lauren, talk to us a little bit about like when you were sending CORs, like this idea, like oh please see attached, or like we're just trying to move quickly, right? We're trying to get that COR out and into the approval cycle. But why is it critical to just like slow down a little bit to speed up in terms of like how we're presenting that from a subject line perspective to the GC?
Yeah, it's totally key and really important. I mean, some of the stuff, like we said before, may seem like no-brainer items to you, but especially, industry's getting younger. There's a lot of new people coming in. Certainly was when I came in years ago. It was kind of like trial by fire. Everybody that had been a project manager beforehand had been sort of done everything up to that point, was maybe like an industry expert a little bit. But then, coming in new, it's good to know these just little helpful tips to get this stuff recognized. And like you said, subject lines matter. I knew it when I was a PM getting emails, something that just said, urgent or hot or please read immediately, or was the first sentence of whatever the email was that I was getting, probably going to get pushed to the end of the line and I'll get back to that. But having that subject line, like if I'm, whether I'm on the sub side or, on the GC side, to have that visual reminder of like, hey, I want to look at this and this is something that's going to be organized that I can use. Being able to have that right there at your fingertips is key to getting that change order seen faster and therefore processed faster to, again, get paid faster. So those little bits, they're like a format, kind of like what we have on the bottom here of having your project, your company, change order number, and a short description. That's going to be a visual indicator to your GC like, hey, this is organized. I know what this is. I'm going to click on it so I can address that now rather than pushing it off to the end of my day or maybe 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's funny how urgent goes to the bottom of the pile,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But Liam, like, put us in the GC's position too, because like often we send the CORs out and we're just not aware of like what's happening on the GC side. So as they receive CORs, not just from you as a specialty contractor, but from all their trades on a project, how are they kind of like seeing that in their inbox, and why does that make subject lines so critical?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I think the first step and the first thing that we're trying to help out here is like help your GC help you. And like you said, they're getting the same email from 40 other trades. And if 30 of those trades are saying see urgent or hot ticket, that's 30 of the same change order in their mind when they see that in their inbox. So if you can have it labeled out, project name, company, short description, a change event, whatever that may be. I mean, it happened today where a GC was referencing something. We're looking for the change event. We're looking for the description they gave, or we're looking through a paragraph description that we gave to them. And like you're doing yourself a favor so that when a revision ultimately does happen and you have to break a change order out, it's a lot easier on your side. But then also you're just going to be top of the list for a customer to want to work with you on this one and the future projects.
Yeah. And that format down at the bottom. So we've got a bunch of former GCPMs here on staff at ClearStore. I kind of pulled them. Like that's the idea. Like if you can just very quickly like name a project, your company, what the COR number is, and like a short description of the work, going to go a long way towards putting your CORs up to the top of that inbox pile. And then file names, it's kind of an extension of this idea. Like that file name is just not just internal to the specialty contractor, so they know maybe where a file is stored or what it pertains to. But like every time you're sending that COR to the GC, they're downloading all that information, probably putting it into another folder. So Liam, again, like put us in the GC shoes about like why file names and having some consistency there in terms of like following that thread from a subject line, consistency with file names is really going to speed up the approval process.
Yeah, I mean, on the GC side, it's like, well, it sounds like we're giving the GC a bunch of breaks here, and we're saying, hey, make their life easier. It's truly like if you make their life easier, they're mo most likely going to make your life easier. But it's just we'll show at the very end. There's a maze runner of things they have to go through when it comes to packaging all these change order requests together and pushing it up to an owner. But I'd also say, Chris, maybe we add to these slides like ma- make your internal team's life easier as well. Like a lot of these projects are a team effort, and if you are collaborating with somebody internally, and if you make it easier for them to find it, and you guys can jump on something that much faster, and the faster you can get that pricing out to them, the faster you'll get paid on it. So.
Yeah, Lauren, why don't you touch on that too? Like so internally, whether it's like a scan T&M ticket or it's a photo of some work that was completed on site or any other type of folder or file, and the idea of just like the IMG 453452.pdf, like how does communication from field to finance internally for all the specialty contractors here matter just as much as like trying to put the GC in a great position?
Yeah, oh, it matters a big time. I mean, that was a long time of trial and error for me as a PM trying to figure out a system, but having a system where you have that clarity and consistency with how you're naming your files, your emails makes such a big difference in helping, again, not only like we were saying here, helping your GC get you the information you need faster, but helping you internally as you've got, most people aren't managing just one project. You're managing multiple different projects. So if you have things organized, you have those scanned in PDF images or tickets, with a naming convention that makes sense so you know that this document goes with this change order makes such a huge difference in being able to keep things sped up and organized and being able to not only able to get answers more quickly to your contractor, like say you have those revisions going back and forth and you need that documentation added, but also when you're getting asked internally at your own meetings inside about different statuses of change orders and the backup you need for that. If you keep it that consistent and clear naming convention, it's a lot easier for you to get that work done on the inside as well.
Yeah, we're going to see how like consistency and organization is part of the idea here, and also show you guys some ways to like improve that. Like you've got a lot of CORs, so we're not just telling you like, hey, for every single COR, you need to stay more organized and more consistent. But hey, so keeping your COR log clean. So whether your GC is requesting a COR log from you like a twice a month, once a month, or on an as needed basis, like they're doing that for a very specific reason. Liam, why don't you talk to us just about like how the GC uses specialty COR logs to make sure they know what's out there. So there's this critical thing that they're doing in terms of forecasting to try and capture the risk that they can't see. Like they can't go into CMIC or Procore to like see what is out there that they don't know about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, number one thing is they're looking to see if they're staying on budget, if they're staying within forecast. There's a certain amount of, allowances, contingencies, expectations that they set here. And is this covered or is this something that I'm gonna have to go to my customer, the owner, and ask for more funds from? And like I think it's just so important to make sure that you have an update and accounted for log because so many times I've heard talking to customers like this scenario where I'm looking at $100,000 worth of change orders. I got 10 on there, but then my accounting team thinks that we got $150,000 worth of change orders coming in. But then my customer, the GC, is actually only seeing 80,000. And like, Lauren, I'm going to steal yours. I stole it today, this morning, but like bad news does not age well. If you've got a bunch of change orders out there that then you show at the very last minute and they just been sitting there for 3 or 4 months, higher likelihood you're going to have to take a haircut on that. When if you could stay in front of that and stay aligned and keep it communicated while the job's going, much better chance that you're going to be in when those negotiations ultimately happen.
Yeah, Liam, I'm going to keep you in the hot seat here. So this idea about having the GC's PCO or reference number, like, why is that a red flag? Like, it seems like so simple and like, oh yeah, whatever. But why is that a red flag to us as we're trying to make sure that we're getting aligned with the customer?
I mean, they live or die by that reference number. So if you're looking at your log and you've got 10 change orders out there and only 8 of them have a reference number, good chance that in the GC's world, there's only 8 out there. The other 2 don't exist. And that doesn't mean that they're not a legitimate change order, but it might have, came from the field. GC hasn't been made aware of it yet. And if, the PM, PX that you're working with doesn't know that it's there, like that's just a red flag for you of, okay, I got to make sure I surface this, start that line of communication and get on the same page with my customer.
Yeah, and not just to make the GC feel better or look better or have an easier job of it. Lauren, talk to us like why having a clean COR log helps you as a specialty contractor to like know when you sent something, know when it approved, and even more importantly, like know how long it's been out there, like know what ball and court is with your GC.
Yeah, it's funny this slide, Chris, makes me think about our group meeting that we had recently, where the kind of running theme and the sort of joke of the whole thing was just do better. And it makes me think of that. It's little simple things like this that may seem intuitive, but like little changes, like making sure you're keeping however you're tracking your change orders up to date with when it was submitted and approved, and having some way to be able to track and see how long it's been sitting out there goes such a long way for you to be able to make sure you're staying on top of your change orders and make that a whole less painful process. Just those little tweaks of doing better makes such a huge haul, especially as you're winding down to the end of a project. You've probably got 5 other projects that are in different phases, but you're getting towards the end. You don't want to be caught with a surprise at the end of the project, not knowing how long something's been sitting out there and when you can get it approved. Keeping that organized is going to be key to you being able to make sure you're getting paid.
Awesome. On the end of organization, so we really want to dive in a little bit here in terms of like how you guys are breaking down labor, material, equipment, markup rates. Like if you don't have those line items out, like the GC is like not they might not know or they're a little bit suspicious. And so Liam, talk to us about the ways like clarity and consistency can like remove that whole like suspicious he said, she said, whoever said between trying to get COR alignment between the trades and the GC.
Yeah, having all of your backup, your photo documentation, your invoices, your material voices, it's super important because like one, yeah, make your GC's life easier. They're gonna go for bat for you if they can point to the work that you've done. But like enough of that. Also, like make it so when those negotiations ultimately happen, you're in a very strong leverage point because you can point to everything that you've done and you know exactly where it is and it's all mapped out there. So just make yourself put yourself in a better position, but also make your customer's life a little easier. Like backup is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Lauren, you feel that too? Like, here's the evidence file, like go to town.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Here it is. I mean, we were talking earlier about revisions, right? Sometimes once you get the work done, you're dealing with the GC coming back saying you need to provide this information. Where's the markup on this? Can you break down your labor rate? Picking on my past life in the elevator world, one of the biggest things that we did towards the end of the job would be clean downs. You install a new elevator, that whole elevator shaft and all the equipment in there needs to get cleaned down, which is included, but a lot of times that work's done maybe, sometimes months before the actual building is finished and another clean down needs to happen. If you have those supporting photos, like backup photos of like, here is the time, here's when we did the work, here's a photo of that work that we did, that proof that you've done the work, that photo, it's that old adage, a picture says 1,000 words, it can go a long way with not triggering another revision cycle. So that change order can just be a one and done and approved and you're ready to go.
Yeah, those revision cycles, it's like going back to square one. And the closer
Yeah.
you are to closeout, like the more you don't want to take two steps back in terms of getting that cash flow back into your bank account. So speed is key. And this is kind of a funny slide. We kept talking about it because we're talking about, hey, how can you guys go faster? And speed isn't just key to like getting your change orders approved faster, but like this idea of a compounding effect of knowing that you're somebody that your GC can quickly count on to like, oh, they know like when they see your COR, they're like, oh, I can get that one right away because I know it's going to have everything there. It's something that I can move on versus something that's going to cause me a lot of admin work in the background. Liam, why don't you dive into that a little bit again and just talk to us about like, hey, why is it important to get these out quickly to really kind of catch issues early and avoid that like scramble at closeout where it's just like he said, she said, and we're negotiating for cents on the dollar?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for so many reasons. And I think we're teasing into like how Clear Story can help, and we're going to show that. But also, like Clear Story aside, like everybody loves that friend that picks up as soon as you call them. Like everybody wants to work with that person that as soon as you reach out to them, they get right back to you. And the same is here, but also like if a job's winding down, the funds are getting lower, like it's important to get your pricing out there as fast as possible. Take advantage of that pot of money while it's still there. And then also, I heard an owner say it once and it stuck with me, like 10% of 100,000 is a lot more than 10% of 10,000. So if you can just keep that outstanding cost as low as possible throughout the project, stay on top of it, be fast with all of your costs, and not just unload it all right when the project's about to close out, you're going to make out a lot better financially.
Yeah, Lauren, you remember any nightmare closeout scenarios where if you had gotten things done a little bit faster, you felt like you wouldn't be in that chaos?
Yeah, there may have been one or two that come to mind, but it's certainly that whole nightmare situation is something nobody wants to end up in. It's not to say that it'll never happen, that if you use ClearStory, it'll never happen again, but being able to have that organization and all this information here and have, those emails with the titles and a whole system worked out where it's easier for that communication between you and your customer is ultimately going to better that relationship between you and the GC. So that way, when the next project's coming down the line, you guys have a better taste in your mouth mutually about working together on the project, kind of like Liam talking about the friend there too. Nobody likes to be nagged and nobody really likes to be a nag. So, if you have all this information set up there, you're not constantly chasing after your GC for answers. They're not constantly chasing after you. And that just factors into the whole better relationship that you guys have throughout the whole life of the project, right at the end and into the next one.
Yeah, and not just the GC, right? But here's kind of like the maze that they're running through. A little bit of a PTSD slide for a lot of people, but Liam, why don't you just kind of like give us this lay of the land? Like, all right, once you send a COR out, like where does it go? What's kind of the maze running factor that we all have to go through, both from all stakeholders' positions, whether it's a GC or a specialty contractor?
Yeah, I mean, I think main point of this slide, like I won't run everyone through this rat race, but it's a rat race. And the better you can do it, those 5 tips, the higher likelihood you're not going to trigger a revision. You're not going to have to go back through all of these hoops. And it just shows that, like, sure, when you send out a fixed fee, you throw a $20,000 change order at someone, or you got a couple tickets that you package together and it's just a $5,000 labor only premium time ticket. It's going through all of this, and it's going to go through the PM at the GC, the owner. We're gonna have to figure out where are we allocating this. Does this tie together to anybody else? So just have all your ducks in a row so you can avoid as many revisions as possible and keep the job moving.
Yeah, it's not just like a void or a vacuum. It's actually like this asteroid field that the PM is
Right.
trying to navigate at the same
Yeah.
time. But we get it, right? We get it on the specialty contractor side too. Like there's a lot of stuff that we have to do internally just to get particularly our T&M priced out and into a change order request for the GC. So talk to us again, Liam, just about like what that duration looks like and how we might like use some of the tips today to like and optimized workflows to kind of compress that days average down.
Yeah, I mean, so I think coming from this like 5 tips on how to do change orders, one of the lessons learned or theories that Lauren and I are trying to get across is you have more control over this process than you think. And like as you'll see right here, all of these steps are before your general contractor is even involved. So this is the first thing that Lauren and I look at to identify any bottlenecks that we can reduce or eliminate on the T&M front. So because work's done today. You might not be pricing that work out and sending it to your customer for another week or two, and you definitely aren't getting paid on it for another 6 months, and you're adding 2 weeks just from this process right here. So, whole idea behind this is like this is something that we have control over. If we can condense this as much as possible, the faster we get out to them, obviously the faster they can respond to it, but also just the quicker they see it, the higher likelihood that they're going to act on it first will be at the top of the list. We can start working with them on these change orders.
Yeah, Lauren, anything to add just in terms of like working on with internal teams and how this particular workflow was could be challenging?
Yeah, definitely can be challenging. I mean, I certainly had it, back in the days of using paper where, you'd end up with you just see your superintendent coming with a pile of paper tags that had been, gotten collected, coffee stains, shoved underneath somebody's passenger seat or in their gang box for, you know, days, weeks, something like that. And then suddenly you've got this rat's nest that you're trying to sort through and get collected and scanned and packaged together to be able to just get that in front of your customer. And at that point, this could be work that was directed from weeks ago that you're trying to get in front of them. And, it's one thing when you're in the thick of the job, but certainly, you want to stay on top of that. You don't want that to pile up. And certainly the worst one that comes up at the end of a project, because then it turns into a scramble. So being able to have all that information organized and have a good system of getting that information in and out to your customer in the form of a change order is key to help reduce this duration.
Yeah, you said dashboard or glove box. We always joke like we should show some and that little truck icon. We should show like some T&M tickets just
Flying out of the
flying out
back.
of the back of the truck or flying out of
Yeah.
the window. So now we're going to show you guys just a little bit about how you might be able to use ClearStory to automate a lot of this stuff. So yeah, here's some really good, like simple, best elementary practices that you can do to accelerate your COR approvals with your GC. Liam, why don't you take over now? Just talk to us a little bit about how ClearStory helps to automate these processes and really take a lot of that manual workflow and that 26-day time crunch and compress it so you're aligning quickly with your GCs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think main theme across all of this is like we want to be fast, we want to be clean and consistent, and then we just want to be professional with our customers. So the first slide that we showed at that looked like this. This is just the 4 avenues about how ClearStory solves them. So first things first, like get paper off the job site. We're going to package that up. Everything that you're doing on paper, you're just going to do on a mobile app. That's going to keep it clean, consistent, world-class documentation, but also get it to you in the office as fast as possible. From there, now we can price out this extra work extremely quickly, get it out to our customer in a clean, consistent manner. And then from there, these last two is just being able to collaborate. Your customer is asking for a change order log, once, twice a month. Now they don't have to ask at all. If you're using ClearStory, they have full instant access to your change order request log. And then you can start communicating with them, sharing, negotiating, revising, and ultimately closing out these costs. And then across the board, now we've got all of our jobs right in front of us. At a click of a button, we can start seeing where are my projects at risk? What should I be focused on? How are we doing from a labor front on these projects? And you can start making decisions very quickly, straight from ClearStory.
Yeah. And then Lauren, like you work with a lot of customer field teams and as they go through adoption. Just talk to us about that kind of aha moment of like, hey, I just wanted to get off of paper tickets, and then how that really kind of opens up this whole kind of new horizon where you're using digital T&M. Yeah, you can price extra work in minutes, not days. Yeah, like you can give a COR log to a GC that they always have just through that one link. There's no more like of that fire drill of like, where's your COR log this month?
Yep, exactly. A couple of like heavy hitter aha moments that I get through the working with specialty contractors that I do all day long over here are the fact that, if you get those tags in, you can very, very quickly price up, 30 digital T&M tags into a change order, with something that may have taken you, an hour or multiple hours to do in the past takes minutes. That's a huge time saver as a PM. Having that collaborative element where right from ClearStory, you can follow up on a change order or follow up on getting a T&M tag signed without having to go anywhere else, search through your Outlook, leave through your phone. That's a huge feature that we have with our log there. And being able to see all the information for your projects all in one spot. And then on those change orders, like you said, that link, even if your customer isn't using ClearStory, your GC isn't using it, you can give them a link to a viewable digital change order log at any point in time that they can bookmark and view that log at any point. So if you've got a particular customer that is, weekly, monthly asking you for the most updated version of your change order log, whether it's for billing or something else, you can give them that link. They can bookmark it for the life of your project. And then there's that lack of nagging again, right? They don't have to nag you for it or bug you, and you don't have to get those emails, those phone calls, those text messages at 6 p.m. on a Sunday night when you're just trying to enjoy dinner. They have that link. They can check it. It's all right there.
Awesome. We have a couple of questions rolling in. Sherry, thanks for your feature request. We'll touch on that in the Q&A. If you guys have more questions, feel free to throw them into chat or into the Q&A module at the bottom of the screen, and we'll hit those here shortly. But first, Liam, why don't you just give us a quick demo, like not a full-on like super product dive into ClearStory, but just like, and maybe this will help a little bit to answer Sherry's question too about how ClearStory can like streamline some of these processes for you guys.
Absolutely. So we've got my screen.
Yep.
Awesome. Before I jump into it, I'm just going to do a quick 10-minute demo of kind of what the change order request log looks like, what our T&M log looks like, how do these land here. I'll create a ticket with everybody really quick, and then we can price that out together. But to that point, ClearStory is not just for T&Ms. It is absolutely there for, your change order request log, your fixed fee, lump sum change orders. As Lauren said, I love hearing the aha moments. Somebody will come to me, hey, like I'm buried in paper tickets. I need something to get off of those. And they get off of that and they look at ClearStory as that. And then next thing you know, they're like, wait, can I put my forward price change orders in here? Or can I communicate internally with my team on this specific change order so that we're all aligned? And I'm like, absolutely, you can do all of that. So we're only going to click on a few things here, just as a bit of a teaser, but Lauren and I are happy to meet with anybody here individually and get into the weeds and into the depth of all the features and functionalities that ClearStory has to offer. First things first, you sign into ClearStory. ClearStory is designed by an ex-general contractor that wanted to make it easier on trades to get their change orders approved and paid out faster. The reason I say that, ClearStory is designed to be as straightforward and simple to use as possible. We understand that if it's not easy to use, it's not worth anything because you need to have your guys use it for it to get you the information you need. I'm about to drill into my change order request log. I also have my T&M tag log. 90% of your time is going to be spent between these two. Drilling into the change order request log just to get everybody orientated with what we're looking at. I am looking at every single change order across every single project at my company. So I've got my original base contract. I've got 6.6 million out there in work across my company. Anything below that is a change order. This row right underneath it, these are change orders issued. This is, I have a PO in hand. I can pay my guys. I can pay for the material. Anything below that is cash flow implication. This is telling me that I have to go act on these change order requests. I still need to get paid on these. Sure, I might have been told in an email, yeah, I promise I'll pay you, but that doesn't mean a damn until I actually get a change order issued. Drilling into it, I'm going to click on just one of my projects, and I'll talk to you about what this log is and everything that we're looking at. So now each one of these rows is a separate change order request. From there, we can scroll and we can edit this to see different areas of, is this ticket work? What's the name of it? How much did I request? I requested $0. That's because I applied it to my winter conditions allowance. This is just telling you this is similar to the logs you use. Lauren, what does this look like compared to kind of logs that you used at Kone?
Yeah, it's similar kind of a thing, when you're keeping it on a spreadsheet in whatever that individual job folder was, the old way of doing things, you'd have similar columns, the project name at the top of it, COR title, brief information, what was requested, what had been paid. But being able to track something that, that was more of a manual process then was tracking something like the day to aging column or things like that, or being able to see these statuses and having that nice contract summary where everything's in a very like visual bird's eye view right in front of my face. That's one of the benefits that I like with ClearStory is you can see that snapshot right there and then sort it via project all in one spot, versus having to then X out of everything, go into an entirely different folder and open everything up. Everything's right at your fingertips with this.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And the most important thing to note on here is anytime I add anything to this change order request log on the Boston Spa Clubhouse project, my general contractor is going to be up to date because this is cloud-based. They have access to this through a shareable link. They didn't create a username or password. They didn't pay for anything. They're just automatically updated via email and then also have access to this log on the web. From here, just a little bit more about the log. Now you can see this is a new project for me. I've only got 10 tags out there on it. I've submitted 14 change order requests. Right now, my average days in review is 5 days. This project just started. As this starts building out, and as we see, okay, now my average days in review is 35. All right, I got to start acting on these. I need to start pushing these forward. We can filter this down. We can start identifying change orders that have been sitting out there for longer. Not going to do that today. I'm going to pivot over to the T&M log. T&M log, very similar look and feel to your change order request log. Again, I'm looking at every single ticket across my company. So right now, my company, we've done 18 tickets across 2 jobs. I've got 14 tickets out there signed. I'm awaiting for signature on 2 of them. If I want to drill into a specific project, I go back to my Boston Spa Clubhouse project. I can now start acting and start following up on any outstanding tickets or start pricing these tickets out. To point out over here, we have our statuses. Signed, no wrench. This means this is priced out. It's associated with a change order request. It's hyperlinked to change order 15. I can follow that up. I can start creating revisions off that if I want to. Going down, draft. This means my guys in the field, they started a ticket today, yesterday. They saved it. They didn't complete it yet, but I now have visibility into what's going on in the field. We're about to drill into this specific ticket shortly. Below that, now I have a signed ticket. So I signed it, my customer signed it, but there's a wrench next to it. All that's telling me is ball in court on me. I haven't gotten my pricing in front of my customer yet. Number one thing we want to do with ClearStory, and back to that 24 days it takes to get a ticket created and priced out to our customer, is like get your damn pricing out to your customer as fast as possible, right? If they haven't gotten the pricing, they can't pay us on it, they can't get back to us on it, we can't start pushing this forward. So I'm going to open up my phone real quick just to show you what it looks like on the mobile app.
While you're doing that, Liam, too, I will say, I sound like a crazy person half the time. Like I've got a big old like IV of Clear Story juice flowing through my veins at all times. But having done all of this before using Clear Story, and then using Clear Story as a specialty, and then really getting even more into it with what I do now so that I can help people really use the tool to the best of their ability. The T&M log for me as a PM was huge because this way, those draft ones, the ones awaiting signature, with paper, I don't have any visibility of that as a PM. Those tickets flying out of the truck, like we were talking about, right off the dashboard on the expressway, or ones that are sitting on a job waiting to get signed, rolled up in a foreman's back pocket. I wouldn't be able to see any of that and be able to keep on top of that with this T&M log. You have visibility of that now. So, even if you're not able to price it up, I've got those visual triggers where I know I got to check in with my guys, see, hey, this is a draft. Are you waiting on something? Or this is a waiting signature. I can follow up right from this log to ask my customer to sign it.
Yeah,
All
absolutely. I was talking to a customer a few weeks ago and like they were keeping in their notes app every single like ticket that they have and the status of that ticket. And then I was like, well, what about the tickets that just haven't been signed yet? And he's like, oh, I just don't know about those tickets. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yep.
okay, like, well, I guess you don't know what you don't know. So when you ask a customer how many tickets do you think you lose on a project, they don't really know because they've lost it. But like that right there is just a blind spot that we look to solve right here with ClearStory. I just noticed the time. I'm not going to pull up my mobile app. I'm actually just going to price out this ticket that's ready to go. But essentially on the mobile app, it's a 5-step process. They're doing exactly what they do on paper today. Instead, they're just on their iPhone, tablet, Android, Samsung, you name it, and they're just picking the title, picking the project, putting in the title, and then they have a drop down of labor, material, and equipment unique to that project. And they're only seeing the quantities, no pricing in the field. But to price out this ticket, I created this ticket this morning. I've got floor 5 touch-ups. It's ready to go. I click on this wrench right here. It's going to pull in all the information that my team collected in the field. Everything here is editable. If I want to add a reference number, I can add a reference number. If I want to edit anything here, maybe the field team was just swearing up a storm. I want to change this. I can just put in it, make it cleaner, make it more professional. Now, my team just put in a journeyman and a foreman. They both did 2 10-hour days on straight time. They didn't see this rate, but now this rate pulled in since it's associated with this project. If I see here, hey, actually, they screwed this up. This was supposed to be double time. You'll see it changes that rate. What I hear from the field all the time in my customers, well, not from the field, but from my customers, is they have a hard time getting the field to add all of the material to back up the equipment that they used. So it's like, hey, we were doing touch up. I know you guys were doing touch up on a ceiling. You're telling me you guys didn't use a scissor lift, you didn't use any material to get up there. This is where I can easily go up into here. And if I have a scissor lift on here, I swear I did. Or maybe I'll just type in right here. I can go right there. I can pick on my scissor lift, add it. It pulls in my back, it pulls up, it pulls in my rate, and now I can keep going. So now I'm taking a ticket from the field. I've got my markup, my overhead, my profit all in here. If I need to apply it to an allowance, I can. This is just a straight ticket. If there's any backup that I want to add, I can add any backup. And now I've got my distribution list, the workflow we see today, and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong here, but common workflow we see is, all right, I got the ticket. Now I transcribe that into Excel. I price that out in Excel. Then I export it out of Excel. I upload it to my email. I grab the 10 email addresses that I need from ABC customer to send out to them. I send it to them. And then when they ask about it 2 weeks later, I go pull up that email again. What we're doing right here is we're pulling that all together. We have your distribution list right here. We have everybody from your side is going to be CC'd. And now I hit preview and send. It's going to give me one last chance to review it before I send it off to my customer.
Awesome. Thanks, Liam. And that PDF is a great segue. We've got a couple of questions here in chat, like one from Olivia Russell. How do you deal with GCs that use their own change order system like Procore, et cetera, and insist on PDF files, or supers that won't sign electronically? And I know you both have some experience doing that and how your customers have navigated that successfully.
Well, with GCs, certain jobs, I know we've seen too, where like if you're doing government work or, in Massachusetts, Mass DOT, DCAM, things like that, there's a way when you're creating a change order that if they have their own very specific form that you absolutely cannot get around filling out, you can use ClearStory to basically make all those calculations for you to total everything up, pull all that information together, get those totals, and then you can actually hide our cover sheet and upload their a copy of whatever their specific sheet is to show that and send that information to them while still having all the ease of attaching all the T&M slips and all the backup that you might need for that change order, and holding that record in ClearStory. So that's definitely something that if you wanted to get in more of the weeds and know more about it, at the end of this, Liam and I are going to have our contact info flashed up at the end here, and we'd be happy to dive into it more with that. But there is a way that you can do that within ClearStory.
Cool. Another question from Monroe Diamond. Is it possible to force customer reference numbers to include the project name, so it's impossible to get confused between buildings on a project site? So if you have a PCO number 101 on building one and PCO number 101 on building two, like how can they see that in ClearStory as 1101, 2101 respectively, or how does that sort out for you?
Yeah, I mean, great question there. You can multiple ways within ClearStory. One, you can add that additional information right in your reference number, but if you want to keep your reference number clean, we do have a labels category that you can pull in, so we can start labeling that the specific job, and we can edit this this log here, so you have that right next to it, and then you can then also pull in your project name. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, we could have it go customer reference number here, project name here, and then we could have your label category here so that it's very clearly notified that like I've got CE 110 for Boston Spa, and this is Boston Spa Country Club project, but then I also have CE 110 for Albany River Rats job, and then I can have my label in here as well. So if I understood the question correctly, I believe there's a couple different ways that you can organize it and force that
Okay.
cleaner, consistent.
Cool. Also a question about being able to copy and paste information into the T&M description section. We have a person on the call here who was trying to use AI to generate a change order description and try and copy and paste that in, but was having some difficulty. Is that something that we can help them do, or like we might need to connect with you offline, Tony, on how you can get that streamlined?
Yeah, you can absolutely. I can connect to Tony offline on how to do that, but you can absolutely copy and paste into your time and material description. I've used the same title. My title might be floor seven touch ups 7 guys, and then I've copy and paste that and put it into the description. And you can also pull and open that description box up even bigger if you have a very large description that you want to put in there.
Awesome. Last question we have here in the queue. Um, can I see if my GC actually opened the COR? So why don't you guys just show us that really quick in terms of an alert?
Yeah, great question. So if I scroll over here, I have my log set up so it goes days aging, and then right next to days aging, I can see who or how many times they have viewed it. So if I go down to this change order right here, I've got change order 11, bulletin 8. I requested $20,000. I sent it out 2 days ago. It's been viewed 4 times. Now with this setup, if your customer is a Clear Story customer, it'll actually show up and tell you who viewed it. But since I sent this to a customer that is not a Clear Story customer, so my general contractor does not use Clear Story, it'll just say that somebody viewed it. But we can use the reasoning that anybody that I'm sending this change order to is somebody that's probably viewing it. So you can assume that ClearStory liamdemo@gmail.com or lhal+5 at clearstory.build is the person that viewed this change order. And it'll tell you they viewed it, and then it'll also tell you how many times they viewed it.
There
Excellent.
were two other quick questions that I just want to address quick that came via the chat and via the question and answer. Jan, to touch on yours about would ClearStory be able to offer having taking pics but adding a timestamp instead of manually uploading the pictures? One thing that Liam didn't get to show you, but again, either one of us would be happy to demo. Our contact information will be up here, so you can reach out to us. If you're using the ClearStory mobile app to document T&M work, you can take a picture from the app on your phone while you're in that app, and it will add a date and a timestamp to that photo for the work that you're doing. So not only will the picture have a date and a timestamp on it, but it'll also be locked in and live with that T&M tag, ticket, slip, whatever you want to call it, but that digital T&M ticket. So that way you know that that photo with that date and timestamp went with that specific work. So gone are the days of having to, leaf through your phone to find a bunch of different text message pictures that you've gotten over the last couple of weeks. The field can actually take a picture of their work when they're creating that tag, and that photo will live dated and timestamped with that T&M ticket. So hopefully that's your question. If not, feel free to touch base with us. We can dig deeper on that as well. And then the one last question here was the one that Sherry or Sheree, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right, came in earlier there. For if you're down, can ClearStory help with the naming convention by having the file name read project company COR title when we export or download a change order? If you're in ClearStory and you have a ClearStory account, when you download, it will actually download with saying like the change order number, what the title was of the work, like so change order 11, repair work, Ocean Park Village being the job name, and then my company name at the end of that. So when you download it, it should do that. I tested it out on my demo account. Sherry, if you are having an issue with that or anything, feel free. Again, there's my contact info. Liam's up there as well. We'd be happy to reach out and help you offline with that.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for joining us on today's webinar. If you've got any additional questions, it looks like we have one from Tom Zimmer. Tom, did you want to ask a question in the chat or via the Q&A?
Tom was just letting us know that he was there with Kone at that point. That was it. And I was excited for the Kone representation. Olivia had also asked, how do you deal with GCs that use their own change order system? But we answered that one a little bit like Procore and everything. We also, depending on what it is, like ClearStory can also integrate with Procore. That's a like way separate conversation, but that's something again that Liam or I could help you out with as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
can
think
check
most
out. Go ahead, Liam.
Sorry, I think the most important note to come off of that is uh, the use of ClearStory from your general contractor's perspective. There's nothing that they have to change. We're not messing with their workflow at all. Just instead of signing a piece of paper, they're signing on your mobile device or they can sign via email. But they don't need to create a username, password. They don't have to pay for anything. And they also don't have to change anything that they are doing. Just quite literally the signatures. Instead of with a pen, it's with their finger.
Awesome. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining today's webinar. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to Liam and Lauren. Their contact information is here. Tom, we will follow up with you offline. And we see that you're driving today, but we'll make sure that you get your questions answered. Yeah, and then if you guys want to see like a little bit more of a deep dive in terms of a demo, go ahead and scan that QR code, and we'll show you exactly like the full suite of solutions that we can put to work on your project. So I will just hand it back over to Liam and Lauren to say their thank yous, and we will wrap up.
Yes, thank you very much. I realized like 5 minutes after I was showing that Chris, you took over the screen. So Lauren, where you were talking to, I was showing the timestamp and everything. Be happy to show anybody one-on-one how we do that. But I think that's one of the most important pieces of the software. So great question. Not if we're ever asked that. We absolutely date and timestamp everything in the software to give you to point out later on. So yes, thank
Awesome.
you all, and look forward to chatting with everyone. Lauren.
Yeah. Yep. Just thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate your time. Again, like we said, you have any questions, you want a demo, scan that code. You've got Leo and I's contact information up there. Please feel free to reach out. The whole reason I got into this gig was to help everybody that deals with change orders get a little bit of time back in their day and make their lives a little easier. So please reach out. We're happy you joined us today, and hopefully some of this information was useful for you.
Yeah, recording of the webinar will be up on our YouTube site and on the website within 24 hours. So if you guys want to share it with anybody else in your team or go back and dive into any of the things we covered on today's call, it'll be available there for you as a recording. But otherwise, hope this was helpful and have a great day. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thanks, Chris.
guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Lauren. Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.